Please love me. Yeah, I saw that. Talent on loan from the non-existent God. Half my brain tied behind my back just to make it fair. Welcome to Theist Thursday. Theists can call in, theists only. That includes deists, I guess. And but I thought maybe we'd have a little bit of a atheist revival here. Gotta get some music queued up, because you can't have a revival without the emotional factor. Let's see here. Yeah, that'll work. But let me turn it way down. Okay, so some of you are doubting. Some of you feel like you need a oomph, a pick-me-up, a little extra energy in your atheism. So that's what I'm here to do for you today. So we will begin. Welcome, you can have a seat. Have a seat, please. We're going to begin with, with glittery toilet paper. Hang on, let me fix this. And let me fix this. Okay. So if you need encouragement, you're doubting your atheism, let's revive you. Let's have a revival. In the name of any God out there, we'll start with any God. I pray in the name of any God in general, Satan included, to light this water-soaked napkin in fire in 3, 2, 1. Nothing. Praise no God. Okay, let's keep it going. I know you felt good about that one. The emotions are flowing. I pray to any God out there, including Satan, restore to me a full head of hair like I was when I was 13 years old in 3, 2, 1. Nothing. Do we have any amputees in the crowd right now? Show of hands. Amen. I know you might not have hands if you're an amputee, but if maybe your neighbor next to you can. Do we have any amputees? Okay, we have one in the live stream audience. One amputee. I'm sorry for your loss. In the name of any God out there, we pray for the one amputee in our Atheist Revival Church to restore it immediately, fully, like he was when he had an arm or a leg. In the name of any God out there, in 3, 2, 1. Are you healed, sir? Ma'am? No. Praise science. Praise the non-existent God. Do we have anyone here with any blemish that's really ugly and you can't get a date? Raise your hand right now. We pray, and I know this is affecting your love life, your coitus schedule. We pray for this person in our atheist church right now, that in the name of any God out there, including Satan, that this blemish will be removed. Do I have any blemishes? No, I could be a high priest. So for the people out there, in 3, 2, 1, blemish removed in the name of any God out there. Nothing. Nothing, you say. Are you feeling the emotion? Are you feeling the joy? Are you feeling the peace? Are you feeling the confidence that your choice to not believe in any God is the correct one? That's what revival is all about. Oh, Jeff says my tattoo is gone. Your tattoo of Jesus? Okay, stop the music, stop the music. With every good revival, you got to have some reading of some holy book. And so I think we'll do that here with using help from one of our theist friends called Testify. And Testify watched a video from one of our atheist friends called Holy Kool-Aid. He made a video a long time ago about contradictions. By the way, I don't think it's that effective of a method to cause people to doubt in their theism, but just the sheer weight load of it is effective. But Testify said something really interesting.
The Jebusite sacrifices some oxen and God lifts the curse. In First Chronicles, even the Bible can't tell God's actions apart from the devil's.
Okay, basically the contradiction is whether God incited something or whether Satan incited something. And again, I'm getting so bored of this stuff. I mean, this is why I need a revival. Because, to be honest, everyone, I'm getting so incredibly bored about everything theism. The only thing that won't bore me is you start lighting up water-soaked napkins. Then we'll have some excitement. But to testify how he responded here was very interesting.
So who here is to blame, God or Satan?
Satan.
I don't think this is actually all that difficult. Ancient Hebrew belief holds that whatever God permits, he commits.
Ancient Hebrew, did you hear that? Ancient Hebrew believed that whatever God permits, he commits. Now, the question I have for you, Testify, those words just float out of your mouth. Do you believe that? Because he's using this as a defense for this contradiction. So in order for him to believe this defense for this contradiction, that whatever God permits, he commits, he's saying that when Satan does something, God's doing something.
So who here is to...
It's God who incited David to take the census. Yikes. Even the Bible can't tell God's actions apart from the devil's.
So who here is to blame, God or Satan?
Satan.
I don't think this is actually all that difficult. Ancient Hebrew belief holds that whatever God permits, he commits. By allowing the census taking, God is viewed as the one having orchestrated it. The Hebrews were not exactly super concerned with determining secondary causes and properly attributing them to the exact cause.
What about you, Testify? Are you interested in having appropriate attribution? Whatever God permits, he commits. That's what the ancient Hebrew Israelites believed, right? Do you believe that? If you believe the Satan story or the serpent story in the garden, do you believe God was behind that? Whatever God permits, he commits. Was it Yahweh tempting Eve, really? No, of course not, right? But yet whatever God permits, he commits. I've been saying this for years, that there's no difference between allowing an all-powerful, all-knowing God. There's no difference between that type of God allowing things and causing things. And if you want to talk contradictions in the Bible, that's it, right there. Because you have this concept of an all-good, all-loving God, which whatever he permits, he commits. He commits these atrocities. He commits these sins. He commits these problems by simply creating it in the first place. Oh, this revival is going so well. That's all I wanted to play about that. I mean, you could go on and on and on with all this stuff. But frankly, I'm here to encourage you, atheists, that I know you're starting to feel bored like me about all this stuff. Go out there into the world and be a light. Be a light for truth. Don't be one of these postmodernist schmucks. They will know us by our love, by our fruits. But sometimes love is a little tough. Tough love. It's a little harsh at times. But it's for the betterment of society. So go out there, join that bowling team, You've wanted to lose weight for years. Go out there, join that exercise soul bike train, whatever and make friends. Say hi. My name is George, or Jorge if you're from Mexico. My name is Jorge, and I'm an atheist, and I am a nice guy. Don't do that with a woman though. Then she's think you're creepy. Doug looks like Emerson Green from the future today. No, I've been told I look like Hopper from Stranger Things, which is a compliment. I think Hopper from Stranger Things is the best character in Netflix history. One of the best. He's up there, top 10 at least. And welcome, Skeptics and Scoundrels. I noticed you have a fairly new YouTube channel. You guys can check him out. Because this is what I do here. I help the little people. But Skeptics and Scoundrels, you'll find out very quickly that 51% of the atheist community does not like me. Because I speak the truth. With a capital T. Okay, let's let, do I have anything else? Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to let people in here first, or give them opportunity. But my poker buddy, Ray, sent me some things that are interesting. I mean, it's a school board meeting where some people are freaking out about Satan. Like, they really believe Satan's real. But I think we just proved in this revival meeting that Satan's not real. I prayed to Satan to light things up. Now, I know maybe people would say that the divine hiddenness of Satan has a good purpose. Satan doesn't want people to believe in him, atheists especially, because then, they'll believe in God, and he doesn't want people to believe in God, so he stays divinely hidden from people. But still, let's be honest, Satan is he's a little, he wants attention. And so you would think he would want people to know that he at least exists. Come on. Let's see here. Let's turn this off. You're going to have to click a link on a Whereby app. Well, it's not really an app if you're on desktop. It's just a webpage. The link is this. I will pin it. All you have to do is click on it. How's my audio levels today? 1, 2 test. Looks perfect to me. And what did you think of, for those, I wonder what percentage of people knew the intro bumper music? I know some of you knew. But that was Rush Limbaugh's bumper music. He's been dead for how many years now? 2, 3, 4? Could be 4. Satan is way cool. Well, okay, I want to play a clip of, let's see here. That's not good. Was it the guy with the yellow tie who said Satan's a bad guy, Ray? Because I want to make the claim that Satan's not that bad of a guy in the Bible. Let's see if I can find it. 1:22:28.
Residents, before you begin, speakers 24 and 25, if you'll join us in the speaker queue.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Jensens, coming from McLean. I strongly oppose the after-school Satan Club meetings sponsored by the Satanic Temple at B.M. Williams Primary School. The Satanic Temple targets school children. It describes itself as a non-theistic religion. They claim they are entitled to the same rights afforded other religious clubs or churches. However, a non-theistic religion is a blatant contradiction.
Is it though? Maybe, I see where he's going with this. A non-theistic religion is a contradiction. But if a theist ever says that, then say, okay, then don't ever call secular humanism a religion. And they like to do that. So you can use that against them.
The meaning of the term religion comes from the Latin word religare, to relink. The worship of God is the primary and basic end of religion. True religion links us to God. Satanism is not a religion. It is an anti-religion because it is anti-God. With this in mind, I have to ask,
Is Satanism really anti-God if you use, let's say, the Hebrew scriptures? I bet you there's Orthodox Jews who would say Satan is a messenger of God. He works with God often. How can Satan be anti-God if Satan and God work together? Well, Doug, what are you saying that Satan and God and Yahweh work together? Have you read the book of Job? Like, God said, go do what you want with my servant. They're in cahoots. They're poker buddies.
what is the After School Satan Club's true purpose, and how does it benefit the educational, cultural, and moral formation of the children at B.M. Williams Primary School? As far as I can tell, at best, the Satanic Club exists to go against pre-existing Christian school clubs.
That's probably true.
At worst, this club really does exist to worship Lucifer in his historic role as the archetypal revolutionary who denied...
He just said that the satanic group doesn't believe, it's not a true religion because it doesn't believe in theism, doesn't believe in a God. But then now he says that they worship Satan, and Satan is a god, the god of the world. So he's just contradicted himself, I think.
Denies all rules and all authority. Satan is universally regarded through history as a tempter, a liar, a murderer, and a thief.
Okay, is that true? A tempter? Well, he tempted Jesus in the wilderness, but remember, whatever, as Testify said, whatever God permits, he commits. So Jesus committed Satan, because Jesus is God. I don't know if you knew that. Jesus committed Satan to tempt himself. Because whatever God permits, remember, this is ancient Hebrews, this is what they believed, Testify said. And is Satan really a liar? I've had this challenge for a while. Out of all the passages where Satan actually says something, Lucifer, whatever you want to call it, and many people attribute the serpent in the garden to Satan or Lucifer, can you point to me a passage in the Holy Scriptures where Satan lied? And usually they say, surely if you eat of this fruit, you will die. But that wasn't true, because it makes it sound like if Eve and Adam would have eaten of the fruit, they would die right then, that day. That's what it sounded like, right? And if that's what the motive, if that's what Satan meant when he said that you won't die that day, he didn't lie. He told the truth. So here's my challenge to theists. This is part of the Atheism Revival. Show me where Satan is a liar in the Scriptures. When he even tempted Jesus in the desert, which never really happened in history. But anyhow, what did he say that was wrong or a lie? In fact, if we were to take all the passages of Satan talking, we would have very few, right? Very few. I can think of the New Testament desert scene, the Old Testament Genesis scene. Where else does, and the Job scene, those 3 different scenes in the movie, in the screenplay, where else does Satan talk? Maybe someone can remind me. But I double dog dare Muslims and Christians and Jews to tell me where Satan lied in your holy books. And don't get me started on taking people's lives. If you say Satan is a destroyer, well, if we're talking about here on earth, I mean, who did Satan kill? Remember with Job, it was God who said, do what you will, but don't kill Job. But, God gave basically his blessing to kill his family, which I think was 6 or 7. So even if we give you that, Satan's a bad guy. He killed 6 or 7 people. How many people did Yahweh kill? Are you feeling the revival? Is it in your belly? Are you feeling the emotions exude from your belly? Ooh, that's a gross picture. But yeah, I think you Jews, Christians, and Muslims would be hard pressed to show me as Satan. Freudian slip. I'm calling Satan Jesus so often. You'd be hard pressed to find examples of Satan lying or even destroying, killing. It's all Yahweh. It's all on Yahweh.
I think it's safe to say that this second worst case scenario is closer to the true purpose of the club. After all, it's called a Satan Club for a reason. With that in mind, a main tenet of the Satanic Temple is individual sovereignty, which corresponds to the subversive and revolutionary idea that you are your own God.
Oh, I love this. That you are your own God. Now, unless this young man in the great suit and wonderful yellow tie, unless he's a Calvinist, he has made himself his own God by choosing to accept the gift of salvation. I mean, what more power can there be as a God, small g, in determining your own eternal destiny? He did that. And if you're a non-Calvinist listening, you did that. You made yourself the God of your own life by accepting the gift, by following Jesus, by taking up your cross, by running the good race. You made that choice. You choose Jesus and God as the standard of morality in your life. You could have chosen other standards like well-being, unnecessary suffering, but no. You made yourself the God of your own life to choose that standard. How terrible of you, you Christians, making yourself gods. Now, the Calvinists, I'll give a pass on this. They're the real Christians. Oh, this is so much fun.
Individual sovereignty means there is no authority higher than the individual. At B.M. Williams Primary School...
Yeah, no authority higher than the individual. But you notice Jesus' sacrifice on the cross means nothing unless the human accepts it. Jesus saved 0 people unless humans put the rubber stamp on it by accepting the gift. You provisionist, flag-waving, phony Christians. Again, Calvinists get a pass. They're the true Christians.
This tenet will undermine the authority of teachers over their students. It will make test scores obsolete, because who are the teachers to determine which answers on a test are right and which are wrong?
Whoa, that's a little precept. Maybe he is a Calvinist. That was a little bit Calvinist light. So maybe I should respect him a little bit more.
And further, why should students respect their parents if parental authority is deemed oppressive? Ultimately, to deny the validity of authority and therefore law is to promote all sin and all crime.
Yeah, he's equating Satanism to not listening to your parents, total rebellion. I mean, I'm an atheist, and I can respect some of my authority figures out there. Like people who know better than me. Hey, Doug, don't do this because I did this back in the 70s. And if you do this, this will happen. You can take my advice, leave it or not. And, okay. I respect that. Sometimes I think theists just think atheists are stupid. They think that that when you do bad things in life, when you make mistakes in life, it's because you don't have God. But maybe it's just because you're stupid. So atheists who make those mistakes, yeah, okay, they're stupid. But it's not because of God. They're just stupid.
I believe Satan has no rights because evil has no rights.
You believe Satan has no rights? Oh, this poor Christian doesn't know his Bible. God has given Satan rights. He is the God of the world until the end times. And anyone who's not in the light, anyone who's not a Christian, is of the devil. You Jews, you Muslims, you Buddhists, you Hindus, you Taoists, you Native Americans, and you atheists are all playing in Satan's playpen. The Christians are the only ones exempt. So the rights of Satan does have rights, and they come from God. God has ordained this.
Some things should not be allowed in schools. For example, it would be wrong to allow a school club for neo-Nazis. It would be wrong to allow a school club for drug dealers. Adults have a duty to protect children from evil.
I would agree with that. But you know what? It would be hard to defend it. Well, drug dealers would be easier to defend. But depending on how you define neo-Nazism, like, could there be a peaceful branch of neo-Nazism where they're not advocating the direct act of violence and it's more of an idea of how to run a government, like through dictatorship? I mean, it would be tough to disallow a club like that based on just an idea, right? Because I'm a freedom of speech guy. I'm for the arena of ideas. I think dictatorship's a bad idea.
Not expose it to them. And yes, programs that scandalize children must be excluded.
Scandalize?
The devil has no place in school. The Pledge of Allegiance proclaims that America is one nation under God.
Yeah, one nation under God. And he's thinking, my God. The Jesus God.
Every coin in your pockets and every bill in your wallet affirm, in God we trust.
Oh, so that makes it more likely to be true, sir? I think this is my theory. I think was it in the 50s they put in God we trust, something like that. I think they did that. The Americans did that because they were scared. They were scared of the big bad Soviet Union after World War II. And they figured, hey, we need all the help we can get. So if we can have God, if we could have Yahweh smile at us and say, Yahweh looks down at all the currency in the United States. Hey, they're saying they trust me. Oh, man, these are my people. They're so cute. I like them. I'm going to help them beat the Soviets. You think God thinks this way? I think the Americans in the 50s who did this think that way. It's always good to have a big, strong daddy on your side, right? It's like you're being bullied and you got Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, right behind you, kind of watching your back. In Dwayne Johnson, we trust. In The Rock, we trust. I mean, Dwayne Johnson would be more likely to, help you and protect you if you did that for him.
Right now we have a choice to make. We can either remain with God and receive his blessings, or we can open the door to hell and allow Satan, the father of lies, to come in.
Wow. You have a choice to make. He makes it sound like if you believe in God, you'll get blessings here on earth, but he didn't come out and say that. Sorry, earth. If you become a Christian, there's a good chance your life will get worse. If you become a Muslim, a Jew, there's a good chance your life will become worse here on earth. Now, maybe he's just talking about the afterlife. And that'll give him, yeah, I hear heaven's great and hell's bad. I mean, that's a good reason. But you notice it's unfalsifiable? Well, at least currently. Maybe someday we'll have the technology to kill 10,000 people, bring them all back to life a week later, and get detailed reports, interview them separately, and see if the heaven and hell they talk about match up, to see if they can read those random number generators, that soul is separate from the material body.
I call on each of you to protect the innocence of our children.
Children are innocent? I wonder if this guy realizes that they're born with a sinful nature and that Yahweh himself killed thousands, if not millions, of children in the Old Testament. Whatever God permits, he commits. And sometimes he just flat out does it himself.
Adopt the After School Satan Club. Thank you.
Yeah. He's a cute boy. He's a good boy. He really believes this stuff. What's the let's see if I can find it. Satanic Temple. They have like a list of the mission statement. Oh man. Oh, I couldn't find it. I could not find the Satanic Temple's statement of faith, but I did find a Christian church statement of faith here. This is what this Christian church says. I'm not sure what type of Christian church it says, but it says we should strive to act with compassion and empathy. The struggle for justice is ongoing and a necessary pursuit. Oh, this sounds like a progressive Christian church. The freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. Oh, maybe it's not a progressive church. This sounds like a conservative church now. People are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do its best to rectify it. These are just some of the many principles of the Satanic Church, which I think you Christians, Muslims, and Jews agree with. But they're bad. Room's open if you want to call in. My poker buddy Ray said that the better you're dressed, the more conservative you are. That could be true. Although look at this guy. He's really well dressed, all black. But I bet you the devil lives in him. See, yellow tie, Jesus, black tie, Satan. It's as simple as that, folks. If you want to know who's who, look at the color tie they wear. And for women, I guess, look at the color hair. Yeah, if you got red hair, blue hair, yellow hair, I mean really weird colored hair, you're probably of Satan. See this woman here with the nice brown hair, or this woman here. Oh yeah, this woman here especially. You can tell Jesus lives in her. You can tell Satan lives in this woman. It's just obvious. Are you feeling the love? Are you feeling the emotion of this atheist revival? If you're a theist, don't be shy. Call in. I'll be nice. I'm a nice guy, really. Don't let the fact that I'm an atheist scare you. And of course, if you're a Christian, you have the Holy Spirit to guide you all to truth. You got the sword of the Spirit, the shield of faith, the helmet of righteousness, the jockstrap of courage. Is that? No, that's not in there. Yeah, that woman smirking. Yeah, you can just tell. Look at that smirk. And with this nice Christian boy. I mean, you can tell that there's no love in her. We shall know them by their hair. Well, definitely Samson. I mean, that boy had hair. And then that evil woman cut it off, took away his power. That story alone, doesn't that sound like something Marvel would create? Like, seriously, doesn't that sound like Thorish? Like Thor had the hammer, Samson had the hair. Come on, Christians, wake up. You're a product of the Enlightenment if you live in the West. But I do need this revival today because I honestly do think that a lot of my work is done. I got thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of content where anything I could possibly say has already been said by me and others 1,000,000 times. And I hate to say this for new YouTube content creators who are atheists, but I think unless you can come up with something really unique, the party's kind of over. What's not over is still having conversations with people. Fruitful, civil conversations. That party isn't over. Although it's getting closer to being over because so many people are just unwilling to talk. Nowadays, if you have a certain skin shade, some people say, shut up. Now, if you identify as a certain religion or non-religion, people just don't want to be around you. Like, Testify here is a great example of why I kind of think apologetics, counter-apologetics is kind of useless and dying out. Thanks for the donation, MNEG. #1 fan. Wow. That's huge. Please know, MNEG, that I love you from the bottom of my soulless, dead heart. And that even though you're probably a goofball and a burden to society, I still love you. I'm the Don Rickles of atheism. What is the point of a theist calling in if your standard is to see a water-soaked napkin being set alight by prayer? Maybe that's why not many theists call in. Oh, you think that's the reason? Like, a theist can call in and have a low desire to convert me, right? They can say, well, Doug's a lost cause, but at least if I come in, maybe I can plant a seed of doubt, right? They could say that. But notice it goes both ways. I can plant seeds of doubt as well. Or they could call in and say, I don't care if Doug believes or not, but I think what he said about Satan not ever lying in the Bible is wrong, and so I'm going to come and defend the Bible that says that Satan is the author of lies, and I'll demonstrate it using scripture. They can come in and talk about that. But Jerome, O'Meara, it says in the New Testament, Jesus is claimed to have said in the New Testament that his followers will do greater things than he. And what are the great things Jesus did? Walk on water, raise the dead, heal the blind, the sick. And if you're a follower of Jesus, if that verse is talking to you, then you should be able to do the great things as well. Lighting up a water-soaked napkin should be nothing for God. And if you think it takes away free will, I mean, you just haven't thought it through. Because Satan has talked to Jesus, has talked to God, and he still chose not to follow. Why can't we humans do that? So don't give me the free will thing. Did I miss a donation? Big Daddy Addy, Atheist Party cover charge. Thank you so much, Big Daddy. Yeah, walking on water is not pretty cool. It's amazing. I would love to walk on water. I wonder how long it would take to run across the Pacific. Oh. Months? Did you know you could fit all the continents of the world into the Pacific? Good question. Asks a good question for $10. Have you noted any psychological characteristics in atheistic people? Yeah, I have. And I think they've done studies on this too. It's a great question. There's a whole bunch of things. There's like authority, how you view authority. If you're more likely to question authority, you're more likely to leave religion, formal religion. If you're okay with risk, you're more likely to leave religion. If you're more risk adverse, you're more likely to stay in religion. If you're a male, I know some people disagree with me on this, but I think if you're a man, you're more likely to leave religion than if you're a woman. But it's close in some countries, not in the United States, but in some other countries it's close. It might be only 52%. Let's see here. Robert. Can't hear you yet. But I tell you, you look so good and you have such a nice background. I don't think we need to hear you.
Well, there's nothing like being seen and heard.
Yeah, that's true.
I like being had on both counts.
Are you a theist?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a theist, more of a panpsychist.
Okay. What does that mean?
Well, the actual reason that I'm jumping in is I was introduced to you on a podcast that I was doing, and one of the members had mentioned the flying man hypothesis.
What podcast was it?
It was it's called the Intrepid Radio Program.
Okay.
And we were discussing consciousness, or I was discussing consciousness, and the guest jumped in and said, well, let me tell you about my flying man ancestor. Went down the path of explaining this. And he says, have you heard of it before? And I said, no, I can't really say that I have. So it basically went down the path of, well, you have to believe it because I say it. And I said, I'm not sure that that's a correct position. And I need to look into this flying man hypothesis. And before I get into that, let me give you a little bit of a background so that you've got more of a sense of where I'm going to be coming from.
Okay.
I think you and I may have some similar background. I actually had a music ministry with a Pentecostal church back in the early 80s.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Well, we used to do the rest homes and prisons and youth authorities, and I used to beat people over the head with the Bible and telling them if they didn't accept Christ, they were going to end up in this nasty place they didn't want to be. And so that I went through the whole born again experience and prophecy over life. And after a couple of years of asking a lot of questions and getting answers that were unsatisfactory, I decided I'd better switch the division of Christianity I was in and went over to the fundamentalist side and Baptist. And I said, how is it these folks are reading the same book and interpreting it completely different? I'm even more confused. So that precipitated about a 15, 20-year journey to the mid-90s, where I found Taoism through becoming a Tai Chi instructor. And
Christians are listening right now, and they're saying that's the exact moment where Satan took over your life.
Well, I've had a lot of conversations with Christians, and I've gone through Buddhism and Hinduism and the various different belief systems. But what I described my journey is looking for something that gave a definition to the experience that I was having, not something that was defined by someone else's experience or speculation or perspective, and trying to impose that on me and have me adopt it. So when I found Taoism, I found the lack of hierarchy, and I found the the concept of being in harmony with nature and reality, providing not only a rational sense of my own experience, but also by default incorporating all of this ethics and morals and other things that are all subjective to the individual's perspective to be quite harmonious. So in other words, if you are in harmony with things, then morals and ethics are by default the natural existence that you experience, because harmony and balance allows you to have the sense of, well, being fair and having integrity and accountability and responsibility, and having a sense of trying to express your own energetic experience just becomes very natural.
Can a ISIS member have harmony and balance?
ISIS from the ideology doesn't make any sense.
Like someone who chops off another person's head because Allah told him so. Couldn't they say that they very balanced and are very in tune and have this harmony that you're talking about?
Well, just about any belief system can claim that. I mean,
but it might not be true.
Well, again, if you go back to what is being in harmony with your environment, right? With not only the nature around you, but the other individuals. If harmony meaning being in balance with nature and within yourself and with other individuals, then chopping somebody else's whatever off.
But we see in nature animals doing that all the time.
Yeah, but that's where the whole consciousness question comes into play.
Like animals will rip the heads off other animals and eat them. Animals will eat other animals while they're still alive. That's harmonious nature.
Well, but that is their nature of being within the reality we experience. So in other words, to me, consciousness, that's what panpsychism is, or being a panpsychist, okay? So as I continued to try to understand this reality that I experience and that we all live in, I started going back and finding out what are all the traditions, what are all the belief systems. And until the age of enlightenment, when Descartes created essentially Cartesian dualism, where he separated the physical world from the spiritual world, giving God and the mind of God and morality to the church, and all the rest of the physical reality to science, that was a complete departure from what almost every culture prior to that experienced. Literally every culture, including going back to Pythagoras and Plato and so forth, their entire view of existence was that everything was consciousness, or everything had consciousness. And it was just varying degrees and levels of consciousness. So plants and animals have consciousness, but when you get to humans, you now have reasoning.
Can you tell me in one sentence what panpsychism is? You said it like a minute ago.
Yeah.
One sentence, what is panpsychism?
It's exactly what I'm describing. Panpsychism is that consciousness is the essence of everything. Everything in reality is the result of consciousness.
Consciousness is the essence of everything. And what is consciousness?
Well, consciousness is what we experience from this in our own individual existence. So I take it even further up the chain, and then when I start talking to physicists and getting into quantum mechanics and so forth, the big problem that all of our sciences have is that as soon as you introduce consciousness into any mathematical model, it screws everything up because of what is known as the observer effect, right?
So individual experience is the essence of everything.
No, consciousness is the essence, the individual experience. So I define us now as consciousness creates everything, which it creates energy. Energy then creates the materium. Okay.
But when I asked you for a one-sentence definition, you said consciousness is the essence of everything. When I asked you what consciousness is, you said it's individual experiences.
So let me clarify for you.
Okay.
So I look at, we are all essentially dangling chads of consciousness. Okay.
Okay.
So consciousness creates energy. Energy is a set of frequencies. We are each individual frequency stamps, if you will, of an expression of consciousness. So we individually are a piece of consciousness, but we are a unique individual expression, i.e., stamp of that consciousness.
You just said consciousness creates energy, right?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Well, I know it from what I sense, but if you look at it both from a traditional spiritual or any of any of the cultures and teachings, as well as science, all of it comes back to consciousness. So nobody can explain consciousness. It's known as the hard question in all sciences, but it's something that we all uniquely, individually, as well as collectively experience.
Okay, when I asked you, how do you know consciousness creates energy? You said you sense it, cultures
Right.
talk about it, and even science says it.
That's correct.
Okay, let's take them one at a time. If I sense that consciousness does not create energy,
Mm-hmm.
now what?
Well, then I'd ask you to explain the energy that you are that animates you.
I say it's from the universe, material.
Okay. The universe is, to me, universe is created by consciousness.
To me, the universe creates consciousness, whatever that might
Okay.
be.
So
So we just reverse it, right?
yeah, if you want, yes.
So cultures, you said also, you know that consciousness creates energy because cultures have said so.
Cultures have said that everything to just about any culture, everything that they experience in their reality, they have traditionally believed and thought that everything was consciousness. And the reason that they felt and said that is because that's what they experienced.
Yeah, and most cultures in the past, not all, but most cultures and most people have experienced that the earth is flat, but we know that's not true either.
Well, I don't know about that.
You don't know that, let's say 5, 10,000 years ago, most people thought the earth was flat?
I don't think that most people thought about what the earth actually was outside of their individual little experience that they had within their 5 or 10 mile radius that they explored.
Okay.
There was no way to, in fact, in a lot of cultures, there aren't any definitions or words for some of the things that we use, like, for example, calling something a flat earth. I mean, if there was a flat earth at this point, don't you think somebody would have found the edge? Especially in our time.
Yeah. And you said science shows or says that consciousness creates energy. Can you expound upon that?
So if you look at some of the big debates right now in the quantum physics realm is things revolving around these concepts of free energy or 0 point energy or over unity. Okay. And it's really the holy grail besides the unified field search of science. And if you take Dirac's equations, when he started to decompose what quantum mechanics actually meant, he's the one that really came up with this concept of 0 point, which I think is probably more accurate than the other terms that are being used. And what that means is that there is a performance of a system that's greater than 1 as far as its energetic output. Now, that's the scientific expression.
How does science say that consciousness creates energy is my question.
Well, all you got to do is look at Schauberger or...
do you believe in the singularity?
Singularity is a term that's made up to, just like most sciences and most definitions, they're made up to explain anomalies in the equation.
Does science say that there was a singularity at some point in our universe's history?
Well, you can find scientists that'll take mathematical models and
so you don't believe in singularity?
No, I don't believe. I believe the Big Bang, dark energy, dark matter are all colloquial definitions that are put together to explain the anomalous observations that don't meet the math.
Do you believe there was a time in our universe's history where there was no conscious sentient humans?
No, not in my perspective. No, I think that consciousness, because going back to what we were saying, you think the universe creates consciousness. I think that consciousness created the universe.
Were you saying
So
that
I
humans
think-
have existed eternally past?
No,
Okay.
I don't think we're the only expression of life in the universe.
Okay, but
I think
I
we
know, but
have
I just started with
cosmic-
humans.
Yeah,
There was a time when no humans existed, right?
I believe yes, at some point, yes.
Was there a time on planet Earth where there was no consciousness?
No,
There's always been consciousness on the Earth.
in my view of it, yes.
So tell me about the consciousness that existed on planet Earth 3 billion years ago.
Because it was created by the consciousness of the created Earth.
It was created by the consciousness of the created Earth?
So, in my view, if consciousness created the universe, then not only the Earth, but the solar system, the galaxies, the other cosmic iterations of what we define as a humanoid construct exist all over the place.
Does a rock have consciousness?
You could say that if consciousness creates the energy, which then creates the materium, which would be a rock, you could say that there is an essence of consciousness in that rock. Yes. How much? And this is the key
But
thing
you
about
just said though that there was a point where there was no consciousness on Earth. Didn't you say that?
no. I didn't. I said
Or
there
no
was
humans.
always consciousness.
No humans. You
No
said.
humans, right? But consciousness is the reason the universe and the Earth exist.
Okay, so imagine we had a time machine. We went back 3 billion years. I think the Earth is 4.5 billion years old, according to scientists, but who knows, right?
It's all speculation.
So if we went back 3 billion years and we got this ball being formed, and I said to you, can you point to me consciousness there? What would you point to?
I would point to its existence.
Okay, then I'll ask you again. If that existence is made up of elements in the periodic table, are you saying that's consciousness?
Okay. I think, would you consider yourself a materialist?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I guess you would also consider yourself a mechanistic. You believe that the
Can you answer my question
existence-
first?
Well, I'm going to, but I want to make sure that I understand where you're coming from, because you keep coming back to something that I keep saying I've already explained.
Okay,
I think
but
that consciousness created energy.
consciousness
Energy
is,
creates the materium. So if consciousness is a frequency set that creates energy, that energy then creates the materium, then that explains to me the entire universe.
define consciousness for me, because earlier you said it was individual experiences, but there was no
No,
individuals back then.
no. I said consciousness is the reason for all existence. No one can define consciousness. It is the hard problem in all sciences. And the only place that it's at least given its due is, unfortunately, in the spiritual practices and religions. And one of the things that I came to the point of in the mid-90s was that I thought that all religions would be exposed as the biggest hoax perpetrated on mankind in the next 50 years.
Why are we talking about religion
We're
right
kind
now?
of seeing
I
that.
mean,
We're kind of seeing that evolve now. But
I got to be honest with you, Robert. Your
Mm-hmm.
belief system is total wacko to me
that's fine.
because it's based on consciousness, yet you can't define it.
Well, you can't define materialism or mechanistic models either.
I can demonstrate it.
Yeah, but it's all based on math. Yeah, but it's all based on math that
You're against
somebody's come
math?
up with. Yeah.
You are?
No. Math is man's way to define that which he observes. Okay.
Like this sounds, you do realize that probably the most people who listen to you talk are just thinking you're just full of woo, right? You understand that this is the perception people have of you.
And that is exactly what I want them to have. To me, it's all woo-woo.
Your worldview is woo woo? You admit that?
Absolutely.
But you still believe it because why?
Because I experience it.
Okay, you experience what exactly? Just stuff?
I experience reality from a conscious perspective that is a result of the consciousness that creates everything.
Okay, so you experience things,
Mhm.
and that leads you to believe that consciousness creates energy, is the essence of everything, and that
Mhm.
rocks have consciousness too?
Rocks are the result of consciousness creating energy, which creates the rock.
Okay, consciousness creates the rock, right?
Consciousness creates energy,
Okay,
which then an energy creates the rock.
okay, consciousness creates energy, energy creates the rock.
Yes.
What created the consciousness?
Don't know.
Don't know.
Nobody does. Nobody does. But the one thing that we all know is that we all experience consciousness, but nobody can explain it.
Okay, but again, we're talking about humans, right?
Well, in our expression and
So there's
experience
no
of it, yes,
human, 3 billion years ago, there's no humans.
right.
So what type of consciousness exists on Earth?
See, I think where you're stuck is that you think that because there's consciousness, it has to be a human
No,
manifestation.
I'm not saying that. I am saying,
Okay.
I'm asking you,
Do you think there is other life out there?
maybe, yeah.
Do you think that there's other expressions of
Okay,
the humanoid form?
Robert, all you have to say is aliens did it, if that's where you're going.
No, I'm not. So when you use that term aliens, or, it must be aliens and all of that, that's another one of those mental silos and cages that people get stuck in because they can't look at all life as being way beyond our own individual expression and knowledge. Is it extraterrestrials? Here's one of the things that I find fascinating. In just about every expression of human ET interaction, whether it's abductions or even astral travel and all those kind of business, is that there seems to be a constant theme of a regular humanoid form. Even if it's reptilians, there seems to be a head, torso, arms, and legs. So to me, that points to the possibility and probability that there seems to be a habit in nature that leans toward a humanoid construct. That tells me that if indeed we are not the center of the universe, which we are not, and if we are indeed just another part of the expression of consciousness in the universe, then there's a hell of a lot more than just us, which has been expressed by just about every culture throughout history that we've known. Every culture says that there was something from up there that came down and either gave them knowledge or even created them. Every culture, every belief system. But yet that's all poo-pooed off as myth. I find that very curious. Doesn't
I
make
find
any
it curious
sense.
why I'm still listening to you.
That doesn't surprise me.
Why doesn't it surprise you?
Well, because when you express things in terms of who, and you express them in terms of logic and reason in the woo, then it can be quite confusing if you can't step out of the box of what you view as material and materium and existence.
The way,
See, I think
no, the
that
way,
atheists, for example, atheists to me are just believers. They just have one less God than everybody else.
the way you talk, the way you express your ideas is so
Mhm.
convoluted, so confusing, and I think contradictory that I don't think anybody would give you the time of day.
Oh, well, that's not surprising, but give me an example of what you think where I'm contradictory.
Well, earlier I started writing things down. You said consciousness is the essence of everything. And I asked you, what is
Mhm.
consciousness? You said individual experiences. And then later on,
No. I did not say that consciousness was individual experiences. I said we are an individual expression of consciousness.
you want me to rewind the tape?
If you need to.
Then you said consciousness creates energy.
Yes.
Okay. And then I asked you point to this consciousness on planet Earth before humans. And you said, remind me,
That the earth was an expression of consciousness.
an expression of consciousness, but I'm asking you for the consciousness.
The consciousness is the earth.
So the earth is the consciousness and the consciousness is the earth.
Do you not think that the earth has any kind of consciousness? Let me ask you that.
without any humans or animals?
Yes.
No.
Okay. So do you think that all consciousness needs to be expressed in some kind of life form?
Yeah, the way most people define consciousness, yes. But 3
Okay.
billion years ago, you said,
Mhm.
well, do you think there was any life forms able to experience things 3 billion years ago on planet Earth?
Not in a human form. We apparently didn't exist from, again, just as you
Okay, before the
admitted.
first celled organism, there was nothing, right? So my
Well-
question to you is point to the consciousness. Is it in the rocks?
Okay, so let's back up to another component that maybe you're missing.
No. Answer the question. Where is the consciousness? Point to it.
I've already answered it like 5 times, and you're just not listening.
You said it's
Consciousness creates energy. Energy creates the materium. The materium is the earth. Therefore,
Okay.
in that model, consciousness would be innate. Consciousness is a natural habit. It is the nature of everything that we experience.
So you're
And going back to what I was saying
you're
about
replacing the word God with consciousness. Then I think, right?
No. God is man-made. Okay. The term is completely used, abused, mangled, and just tossed around. It shouldn't be. It's not what we experience. Consciousness is way beyond God.
So you can't. You can point to the expression of consciousness, but can you point to consciousness?
No one can.
Okay, so it's this.
Other than our individual
It's like a
experiences.
spirit?
That's where you. No. Consciousness is energy.
No. You said consciousness creates energy.
That's what exactly.
So what is it? Does it create energy or is it energy?
Energy is the essence of consciousness.
Energy. Okay, you said now 3 things. This is what I'm saying. You're contradictory. You said consciousness creates energy,
Yes.
and then you said consciousness is the expression of energy, or energy is the expression of consciousness.
Yes.
We're just
that's
like
the
in
same thing.
we're just looping around in circles here. What
No,
is it?
dude, I think you are stuck in whatever. You've got a very narrow view.
I'm asking you short, simple questions that you can't answer.
You can't answer mine. I've made it very clear that to me the model of reality is that consciousness creates everything. Okay? Energy is a nature and a habit of consciousness, and therefore it's what consciousness creates.
How does consciousness create everything?
Because it's
How?
the only thing.
Not why. How?
I don't know. How can you say how if you don't know what it
Okay.
is?
So you don't know what consciousness is, and you don't know how it creates energy, but yet you do know, or would you say that you do know consciousness does create energy?
It's logical.
It's logical. How?
Well, if you look around, everything that you experience, that we are experiencing right now, is based on a conscious awareness, right?
Yes.
Okay. We are energetic beings. You know that we function from energy. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Okay. So isn't it kind of logical to assume that the consciousness and the energy are somehow intertwined?
Yes, for us, yeah. But
Okay.
but I was asking you in a scenario where there's no humans, no life forms at all on planet Earth, and you said I think consciousness still exists there. Right? Yes or no?
That's correct. And let me help you think through that. If our planet's some 3.5 or whatever billion years old, and we are some million or 2 or 10 million years as far as our own existence, do you think we're the only life form out there in the universe?
No, I already answered that. I said probably not. But I'm talking about planet Earth.
I do. I think that consciousness and other life forms are all over the place, potentially tens of billions of years in the way that we think about that metric, older than us. Is that something you can't?
This has nothing to
Deal
do with
with,
my
or-
question I asked you. Absolutely
Yes, it
nothing.
does, because I'm saying that other consciousness exists. We are not the only consciousness in the
Robert,
universe.
focus on my question. There's no life forms on planet Earth, no biological life forms on planet Earth 3 billion years ago, maybe 4 billion years ago. Is there consciousness on planet Earth?
Consciousness, yes.
Yes. Where is it?
And it is the result of the energy that created the earth. So if consciousness creates energy and the energy created the earth, then there is a natural part of the materium of
Okay,
the earth that is
A
conscious.
volcano has energy. Is it conscious?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah. You really need to do some additional reading, my friend. You're missing out on a whole world of reality that is way beyond being stuck in the religious, going after religious people and religious belief systems, because that's where you're stuck. There is religion and belief systems are all subjective.
It's easy to say
They
a
are
volcano has consciousness
speculation.
when you can't define consciousness other than just an
Well, nobody can define consciousness
Okay, then why are we even talking about consciousness then?
because it's the hard problem. It's the question that everybody is trying to answer.
I know, but when you start saying things like volcanoes have consciousness,
I didn't say that they did. I said they possibly could. I don't know. It would make sense in the model that
how would we
I've
know?
been trying to get through to
Is there
you.
any way to know if a volcano
I
has
think
consciousness?
over time, yes. I think over time, yes.
How would we test it?
I don't know. The math and the models and the scientific method has been so corrupted and hijacked by a materialist mechanistic model that have you heard of Dean Radin?
No,
Have you ever heard of Rupert Sheldrake?
no. Are these all woo people?
Eric Weinstein. These are all scientists.
Yeah.
Eric Weinstein. Have you heard of morphogenic resonance? Do you know what the wave collapse?
I know nothing,
Schrödinger's-
Robert.
Okay, well, see, these are things that if you knew, you would help you understand what I'm talking about. Because these are all scientists,
You know,
right?
when you know something well, when someone asks you short questions about it,
Mhm.
usually you can explain it like you explain it to
Exactly.
a 5-year-old.
That's right.
But I think
And I've been
I think a
explaining it-
5-year-old would hear your mouth open and run for the hills because you
Well,
don't know
I
what
think-
you're talking about.
Okay.
You're
well,
just throwing around a few words here and there. You don't know what consciousness is.
I think I've strung together a theory and a concept that is so antithetical to the way that you perceive reality and the box
Who
that you
cares? The question is
yourself
it
into.
true, and how would we figure that out?
Well, isn't that what you do with people when you bring
Yes,
them on?
and that's
go
what I'm
through
doing
it?
here.
Yeah, but every time you do it, you're focused on religion and belief systems. You're not focused on reality. You're not focused on the scientific method. You're focused on trying to destroy somebody's belief system that they've concocted or
What's
been
wrong with
given
that?
or
When you
adopted.
yourself says that, when I asked you how do you know consciousness creates energy, you said one of the things you said was cultures have spoken about that, which includes religions. You yourself do
Yes.
it.
That didn't make any sense. Look, if you've either got a hard on for the woo woo, in other words, you think that it's not worth
you take drugs?
looking into. What's that?
Do you take drugs?
No.
Do you think drugs can alter one's consciousness?
Yes.
So
I think psilocybin and mescaline and all of that are the future of a whole bunch of healing that's coming around the corner.
do you think if you took enough of a certain drug that you could change your worldview, that the drugs would cause you to dump your current worldview?
They wouldn't cause, they would open.
Open
That's what
you up.
ayahuasca-
Open you up. Do you think you could take enough drugs that would open you up to realize that what you're saying is nonsense?
I have no idea. What do you think?
I mean, it's
Let me ask you this. Do you know what non-local consciousness is?
no. I know nothing, Robert. I told you already.
Okay. So if you so non-local consciousness is what is expressed in things like remote viewing and astral travel and
Do you believe in remote
psychic
viewing and
experience.
astral travel?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
Have you ever seen any remote viewing data? Have you seen anything from the SRI work that Putoff and Targ did back in the 70s at SRI? All right, have you looked into that at all?
Remote viewing, for the people who don't know, explain what that exactly is.
So remote viewing it's in the psychic realm of being able to sense things that are not local to you. In other words, being able to go find information, sights, sounds, smells,
Have you ever done that?
whatever. Oh yeah,
You can do it?
not very well, but I have done it. Yes.
Okay, let's try it right now. I'm going to write a number down.
This
Okay.
this is not something that you do.
I wrote
that
down a
you do.
6-digit number. I want you to remote view, come and look at it and tell me what it is.
That's not something that I can do that well. I can't sit here and just do it on
Is
demand.
there anybody who can do it well on planet Earth?
Oh yeah, Dick Allgaier, Edward Reardon, Daz Smith.
Do you
the
have
guys
Dick's
at
phone
Crypto
number?
Viewing. No, but go on to YouTube and look up crypto.
Can you
viewing
get
and
Dick
go
to
look.
come to my channel?
I don't know. You'd have to try that yourself.
If Dick, on the other side of a whereby internet call, can guess my 6-digit number, I will start paying attention to you woo people. But until that day, I mean,
Why don't you go look at some of the results that are scientifically proven?
this is way better than any scientific paper. I wrote down a 6-digit number. If you think remote,
You don't understand the protocol.
can
It's
remote
not the way
viewing
it's
do what
done.
I'm asking?
Yes, but it's not there's a protocol to remote viewing.
Protocol. Well, you got to
Wow,
say
you really don't.
You got to say the right
You really
prayer.
haven't looked into any of this stuff, have you?
I know nothing.
You need to go look it up, buddy. I swear to God, you'll open your mind in ways that you couldn't think of.
You know what would open my mind up on this?
Yeah.
If this guy named Dick can tell me what the 6-digit number is.
It's not how it works. my
That's
friend.
way more powerful than any paper you could send me. And you know that's true.
You're talking about you're talking about clairvoyance.
You're sounding like a Christian right now. Don't test the Lord your God and ask for him to light up your water soaked napkin.
dude,
You're
you are
just
really
like
stu-
those fundamentalist
You are
Christians.
you're really stuck in
You're
in
a
very-
fundamentalist wooer.
Oh, good Lord. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
You sound
need
just
to-
like them. You don't test
yeah.
the remote viewer. There's protocols.
No, I didn't
you know.
say don't test it. I told you that there's protocols.
There's
to
protocols, right? Yeah.
test. Right.
Yeah.
Do you not believe in the scientific method?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well,
So I have a hypothesis that
yeah.
what you're saying is a bunch of woo, and that remote viewing is a bunch of woo, and that if remote viewing can do what you say it can do,
Mm-hmm.
I hypothesize that it will fail the test of reciting the 6-digit number. Now let's test it. That's the scientific method. I came up with a hypothesis. Let's test my hypothesis. And I mean, I bet you we could get, the James Randi Foundation.
Oh yeah, and then Richard Dawkins and all those
yeah.
good folks.
Yeah. You probably don't have a high opinion on that.
Michael Shermer.
But I bet you that foundation still could give this Dick guy $1 million if he can do it.
Well, did you notice that the whole Randy, what's his name? The guy you just mentioned, what's his last name? That whole foundation? Yeah. Whatever it was, you realize that, there's a
James
whole lot of data. James Randall. You realize there's been a whole bunch of data that exposes all of the bullshit behind it. Have you looked into that?
Bullshit behind James Randi?
Yeah.
With the testing or what?
With a number of the things that went on within that foundation. I mean, there's a lot of data that you probably missed. What about Richard Dawkins?
What about him?
What do you think? Do you think what he puts forth is solid and hypothetically and theoretically proven?
He said many things. You got to be more specific, Robert.
What about Michael Shermer?
You got to be more specific about what Richard Dawkins has said.
Okay.
You're just throwing out names like you throw.
I'm not throwing out names. I'm throwing
you
out
throw names.
information.
You throw out terms. You throw out
You
senses.
are stuck. You are so
throw out
stuck in
things
the way
to make
you
me
see the
sound
world
good.
that anything that might open up your world a little bit is you can't do. I mean, I find it. This is why people that get stuck in your lair of like this flying man hypothesis stuff get stuck in.
Oh
in
yeah,
a
you
mental
started this
loop.
with the flying man. Let's get to that. What?
Yeah.
What
So-
did you want to say with the flying man?
So Avicenna's, it was his original hypothesis, right?
No, I know nothing. I made it up. I don't read. Seriously, I made this up on my own, on the fly. But I have heard from other people later that there's other ideas.
Well, he was an Iranian philosopher. Okay.
I find out
he-
after the fact that most of the great things I say, philosophers have said before me.
You know, that I've had that same experience. I find that a lot of the things that the universe gives me in mental core dumps, I go, God, nobody else has come up with that.
Flying Man, what do you want to say about it?
So the flying man hypothesis is really it's designed to trap the mental into a mental cage, circular thought. Because you can't take something and says, well, you know, my ancestor 1,000 years ago flew by himself over some long distance, and he did it without any wings or any plane or any flying apparatus whatsoever. Do you believe that? And it's like, well, I can't believe it. Do you believe it? Well, I believe it happened. So therefore it happened. Well, that's good for you. I can't have any empirical.
What are you talking about?
That's the way the flying man hypothesis.
Have you ever
was
listened
presented.
to me do the Flying Man?
I've heard just a couple of bits here and there where you've had some Christian
You're right.
apologists
I'll ask
on.
the question about my ancestor who flew and ask them if they believe it, and most Christians say no. And then
and you use that to say, well, how can God have done the things that he did, right?
Then I'll add, it's a cumulative case argument using the historical method. That's what it is. And so whoever used it on you and used me as like the reason for it, number one, they owe me a royalty check. And number two, they did a bad job at doing it, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, so I went through and did a little looking into it, and you know, it's epistemological theory set, and it seems to be the way in which it has been used to try to disprove the way that people believe something that they can't prove,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
right?
Yeah. And
So
was there a problem?
Well, I mean, why do that?
Oh, to cause people to cry.
Well, I would think that if you are one who looks for empirical data and short answers to questions that answer something that you may not understand, that would be a normal way for one to go about trying to confuse people or trying to prove that you know more than they do.
Well, you definitely
There's no
succeeded
reason.
in confusing me today.
Well, that was one of the reasons I wanted to come on, to see how far I could get you.
So you're trolling.
No, not trolling. I'm challenging.
Challenging. Yeah. Why is it that people who love music tend to be this way?
You know, I
certain
have
areas
found-
of your brain are just lit up.
You know, let me share this with you. So I grew up in the 60s and 70s in Southern California. Okay. I was a part of the original liberal movement. Our whole motto back then was screw the man and leave us alone, right? And free love. And over the years, after I've been in technology for 40 years. I've traveled all over the world. I've seen amazing shit, started my own businesses, created my own record label, and have been a music producer for around 50 years. So once in the last 15 or so years, this whole neo-lib shit started coming around. They took what we started back in the 60s and 70s in Southern California, have completely screwed it up. These liberal neo-libs, you know, they used, like I said, we started with leave us alone, screw the man. Now they're completely the opposite. Now they want to get in your shorts and tell you how tight they need to be.
And why are you telling me this?
Because it's musicians and artists that started this shit back in the 60s and 70s. And the musicians and artists today are, anybody with an artistic mindset tends to fall into this liberal trap. And they lose any sight of any balance of systems and
Do
processes.
you think you've fallen into a woo trap?
Oh, not at all. I've pursued it with alacrity.
Yeah, these political liberals have fallen into a trap, but no, not me. Even though I have the same
Well,
brain
I'm not
as them.
political. To me, anything that has political in it, like especially the term political correctness, those are two words that don't go together. Because nothing political
No,
is
we're
correct,
agreed there.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm also a technologist, so I'm involved in artificial intelligence and blockchain and machine learning and all that. And I'm in the middle of these discussions with these people and trying to get them to understand that the
if you're
terms.
programming AI for the future, humanity's dead.
No. Well, my problem is that artificial intelligence is the wrong word. That term is completely screwed up. Artificial and intelligence do not go together. It should be adaptive or applied or acquired intelligence.
Can a computer have consciousness?
No.
But a volcano can.
So let me throw this little nugget at you and see where you go with this.
You notice what I just did to you?
Yeah, but it was irrelevant. I'm taking you out of it and taking you to another place where you need to think.
You said earlier a volcano can have consciousness, but a computer can't.
No, I didn't say that it could. You have this very annoying a process of saying
yes
this is
or
what
no.
I said.
Can a computer have consciousness?
No, it cannot.
Yes or no. Can a volcano have consciousness?
Possibly is what I said.
There you go. Thanks for coming on. My. Half my brain tied behind my back. Just to make it fair, but he still irritates me. Like, should I be worried about humanity? Thank God he's gone. At an Atheist Revival, thank God he's gone. Oh. You know someone's really bad when I right now am desiring a fundamentalist Christian to come on just to be more sane. Robert, that's how screwed up your worldview is. Where I am actually begging a fundamentalist evangelical Christian to come on. Yes, Andre, I agree. And thanks for the super chat while that was going on. I think he was trolling me a little bit, which is fine, but it has to come to an end. I need a Christian to cleanse my palate. I need a fundy palate cleanser. William Craig is on CC channel, I hears. This is why we need an Atheist Revival. Like, isn't everyone sick and tired of listening to William Lane Craig? Isn't everyone sick and tired of listening to Capturing Christianity? We need a revival. From this nonsense. Tell ya, the remote viewing guy, this was the number. Scientific papers on remote viewing. I tell you, if that's what science has become, take those papers and stick it up my butt. If you think remote viewing is a thing and it's possible for someone in Japan, for me to write it down a number, they can remote view it and see it. That is testable. That will change my mind way before any of these crap scientific papers. There are protocols, Doug. I mean, that sounds exactly like the Christians. Well, Elijah was a prophet, you see, and the protocol is you need to be a prophet first of God before you can ask Yahweh to light up your water-soaked napkin. Are you a prophet, God? Doug, are you a prophet, Doug? There are protocols. It has to align with the will of the Father. I'll tell you, I rather people believe in Jesus and Yahweh than people like Robert. At least they got like something you can point to. I mean, like Jesus was a guy who walked around in first century and he was claimed to have done this, this, and this. Now you can believe it or you don't. What is consciousness? I don't know. Consciousness creates energy. Energy is the expression of consciousness. What is consciousness? I don't know. Consciousness is individual experiences. What is consciousness? I don't know. Consciousness is the essence of everything. But was there any consciousness 3 billion years ago? No, but there's still consciousness, even though there's no experiences. But a volcano might be able to be conscious, but no, not a computer. Whew. In fact, let's see if I can find you reminded me of someone. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. Oh, Flamio, not today, okay? You can leave. We've talked enough. Let's get someone new on. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. What you remember that commercial for a certain electrical component, and a guy just talks for like 3 minutes and nobody understands a word he's saying? The encabulator? Something like that. You guys know what I mean? PineCreek, he said science, quantum mechanics proves that consciousness creates energy, but also that science can't even properly define what consciousness is. That's a pretty obvious contradiction. Please, theist, another theist, call in, besides Oflamio, someone I haven't talked to before. I need my palate cleansed, as someone said. Yeah, I made a video, Talk with Scott. I made a video with that. I think it's called the encabulator. Oh, in it, let's see. Oh, yeah. I found it. Don't have to look for it here. Let me, Robert wants to be loved. This is it. What just happened reminds me of this.
Work has been proceeding on the crudely conceived idea of an instrument that would not only provide inverse reactive current for use in unilateral phase detractors, but would also be capable of automatically synchronizing cardinal gram meters.
So one's hierarchical, one's hierarchical. One's a union of phenomena by making generalizations between those phenomena that account for both the qualitative aspects and the distinctions, and building a hierarchy up in like a natural order.
Rockwell Automation's retroencabulator. Now basically, the only new principle involved is that instead of power being generated by the relative motion of conductors and fluxes, It's produced by the modial interaction of magneto-reluctance and capacitive diractance.
Disassembled and reassembled into a variety of different modal properties, the natural hierarchy or a natural set of properties that exist.
The original machine had a base plate of prefamulated amulite surmounted by a malleable logarithmic casing in such a way that the two spurving bearings were in a direct line with a panametric fam.
Bundling in a subcomposition, externalizing them from that primary line. And if I put those generalizations in their natural orders, there's a number line that exhausts the scope of all possible, let's say, properties that can be instantiated.
So fitted to the ambifacient lunar wane shaft that side fumbling was effectively prevented. The main winding was of the normal lotus-o-deltoid type placed in panendermic semi-boloid slots of the stator.
When they have been assembled into those properties, they have unique predictive capacity in virtue of the properties that they do in fact have.
Every seventh conductor being connected by a non-reversible Tremi pipe to the differential girdle spring on the up end of the gram meters.
Undirected normative force is entropy, but that's basically to drive back to uniformity, and that's how we measure energy in certain things.
Moreover, whenever fluorescent score motion is required, it may also be employed in conjunction with a drawn reciprocation dingle arm to reduce sinusoidal depleneration.
But the instantiation of those properties in those things to begin with is exactly what I'm referring to.
The retroencabulator has now reached a high level of development, and it's being successfully used in the operation of Milford trunnions.
And those four principles are universally constitutive of what I call God.
It's available soon wherever Rockwell Automation products are sold.
Yeah. I have a feeling Robert could understand all this and translate it for me. I apologize for that, but and by the way, when a woo master like Robert talks to you, if that ever happens to you, and they have you read this? Do you know who this is? Do you know who this is? The way you cut that off at the knees is you say, "I know nothing about this." You give them whatever they want, because they want you to say, "Oh, you have no basis to actually push back against me, who's well read on this topic." And then you ask them simple, short questions, and you make them look like a fool. I sound like Archie Bunker's wife. You make them look like a fool. Show where they contradict themselves and so forth. Room's open. Please don't let me have that as my one and only call today. If you are a theist and you have any sense of love in your heart, you won't allow that. You look genuinely sad, Doug. Even Zeleny is agreeing with me. Oh, no. I mean, Zeleny and I mean, we're polar opposites politically, but he's like, oh, maybe you're not calling him a precept, but are you not having fun today, Doug? Well, the first part of the show was a revival. It's like Asbury? It's like the Asbury revival. That's what happened here. I mean, all the atheists had emotions in their belly. And then Satan walks in. Satan dressed as Robert. To douse. I mean, But instead of using "In Jesus' Name I Cast You Out," I used the Titanic theme song. Because Titanic theme song and Satan, same thing. Sort of like consciousness and energy, same thing. The video called that I just played, I made this video 3 years ago. God is available soon wherever Rockwell automation products are sold. 3 years ago. I gotta remember that. Rockwell. Keyword of Rockwell. I should tag it. I don't know. The thing is, Nomad is a nice guy. I remember him. He's never called back since then, but since this making of this video, he's honestly a nice guy. In fact, this guy here, his brother is a professional MMA fighter. Oh, what's his name? Forget, but a very popular MMA fighter. Kickboxer? Maybe a kickboxer, not MMA. Nomad wandered off. Good one, RP. Room's open. So what's my advice to atheists to keep the revival alive? Find some type of part of life that's important to you but has nothing to do with religion, and be involved in a community with that. I'm actually shooting myself in the foot here, but I'm basically telling you, stop thinking about religion so much and you'll be happier. Stop feeling the need to push back against it all the time. Let me do that once a week. I actually think you'll be happier. But when you do talk to a theist, you'll be prepared. You'll have the full armor of PineCreek on. And for the person who did the flying man with Robert, you might have done it right and Robert just misinterpreted when he said it back. I still don't know why he brought up the flying man. Or why the person he talked to brought up the flying man. Because it really doesn't work with his religion. Because the flying man's made for a cumulative case for the historical method. Who do we got here? Elliot? It's a new name to me, I think. Hi, Elliot.
Hello, hello.
You look happy.
Thank you, I try.
You're a theist, I hope?
I don't really identify as like theist or not, really. Maybe if you know the YouTube channel Messianic Manic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of am along the lines of maybe atheist.
Oh, you just don't care.
Well, no, not that I don't care, but it's just like, what are you talking about when you say God?
Yeah, it's non-defined. Yeah, okay. So what did you want to talk about today then?
Well, I had a woo premonition about your 6-digit number.
Yes.
Did you? I was out for a little bit. You didn't reveal it, did you?
I did.
Oh shoot! So then
I can do a new one.
Okay, there you go. What was it, by the way?
That's a secret. You'd have to watch it.
There you go. You get another view that
1,
way.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I got a new one. You want to do remote viewing or what?
Yeah. All right. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
No, you're wrong.
Oof. I think I was remote viewing a different number, maybe at your neighbor's house or something. So I'm gonna count that as a partial hit.
Well, I think what happened was you didn't follow the correct protocols.
Yeah, so that's true because everything is consciousness. I don't know if anybody's ever explained this to you, but consciousness comes from energy, and energy actually is consciousness.
Okay. I'm tracking you 100%. Go on.
Yeah. So, that pretty much explains it, right?
So everything is consciousness?
Yeah, exactly. See, you get it. See, he was a bit hard on you about not getting it, but yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm just making fun. But
Yeah, I know, but it is funny. Did you watch the whole interaction?
Not the whole thing, but a good amount of it.
How long were we going? Felt like an eternity. Oh my goodness. We went. Was it an hour? No, just 50 minutes roughly we talked. Whoa. Do you think I did the right thing with him?
I don't know if there is a right thing. Like, I don't know. I got a kick out of the recorder music of the Titanic song.
Yeah, wait till he couldn't hear that, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so only the audience could hear that. So he didn't know it was happening on, but he's going to watch the replay and he's going to be so mad at me.
Yeah, that's too bad. I wanted you to like maybe replay it, but I wouldn't hear it. So
Yeah.
A hard knock life.
But I admit I did get irritated with him, and but I get irritated with Christians and Muslims and Jews sometimes too. So I think I treated him the way I would treat anybody else who's spouting nonsense.
I mean, it can get.
The thing is, even if it's not nonsense, it should be testable, I think, and falsifiable. But when you're talking about things that you can't even define, and it's crazy.
Well, don't you think that's a bit of it? Like, that's what, most people's God concept is about, that it can't be defined.
No, I would say the Christians for sure would say that they can define their God. At least a sufficient definition. All-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving, creator, was on earth in the first century, walked on water, rose from the dead.
Yeah. Wouldn't you say, like, it's ultimately inexplicable, right? Like, they would say, a good portion of these things we just can't know. Isn't that what you would think most theists would say?
Yeah, I think they would say the whys might be a mystery, but the what's not so much. Some of the what's is a mystery, and maybe some of the hows, a lot of the hows, but the what part they can nail down pretty strongly. What is God? He's three persons. He's spiritual. He did this. He has these attributes. Yeah, but with this consciousness and woo business, it's like, what is it? I don't know.
Yeah, where you wonder, like, I was thinking as he was talking, like, there's the whole is a volcano conscious, right? And you would think, like, where along the continuum would consciousness arise, right? Like the amoeba level, right? Like,
well, if consciousness is everywhere and everything, or is energy is the expression of consciousness and it's everywhere, then really consciousness doesn't arise. It just is, always is. If Robert's listening right now, he goes, "Oh, Doug did get it."
Well, so let's say we don't have that view, that we look at consciousness as like what do they call it, an emergent property,
yeah,
right, of minds, right? That, let's say, where would that begin? Like, animals are conscious, right? And then plants, we would say, aren't,
Yeah.
right?
It's a great
Even though
question, and I don't know.
they can respond to the environment, and what else do you need to be conscious? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm tempted with guys like him, but I'm even tempted in general to say consciousness doesn't exist. It's an all
well,
illusion.
something exists that we call consciousness.
Yes. What we call consciousness, but it in a way, it's just easier to say free will doesn't exist, consciousness doesn't exist. Like from people from their perspective, we could even say reasoning doesn't exist. Because you know how so often theists will say, you know, you need this idea of consciousness and the immaterial and God to say that even reason exists. It's just say, no, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I don't know what they would
I
do.
kind of like the whole presuppositionalist thing, that to even start debating, you have to agree with me.
Yeah.
Right? That I wonder about, you know, there's this passage in the Bible that says God has confounded the minds of non-believers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So God can make people delusional. What's the verse?
Second Thessalonians 2:21.
Yeah, how does that go?
Basically that God has sent a delusion so that humans will not believe in him.
A strong delusion, right?
Yeah, a strong delusion.
Yeah. So you'd wonder, how could a presuppositionalist be sure that they're not under strong delusion? Because they know that their God, that's within their character of their God, right?
You're right.
And if they were under strong delusion, they wouldn't necessarily know it. In fact, they probably wouldn't, because they're so strongly deluded. So that would be like a cycle to get the presup in. How can you know you're not deluded?
Well, yeah, I've asked that exact question many, many times with precepts. How do you know you're not deceived is how I put it. And they will go to something like either fruits, or that it's just been revealed to them. They just know. Well, how do you know? I just know I know. Because God's word says so, that if you do X, or he will do X in me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a Calvinist precept, which most are, you really don't know if you're saved or not.
Yeah. In fact, you're probably not. So,
yeah.
I mean, statistically, right?
Yeah, you're right. If hell's spending eternity talking to Robert, do you think Pascal's wager is a good bet? Those consequences are scary to me. Yeah, that's a good question. If hell was a bunch of Roberts constantly talking to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you know what, Elliot? I think we need to repent. There's too much at stake.
I like your idea of Pascal's wager, where probably none of the religions are right. And so if you're a theist or you have a religion, you're just making God angrier and angrier, right? Like Homer from The Simpsons, if you remember that clip.
Yeah. Or if you believe everything is consciousness and volcanoes could be conscious, you make this God really mad.
Yeah. So I think you're probably better off withholding judgment until the end, right? And then you can just tell God or whatever.
No, you're better off being a naturalist than an atheist, because that would make this God smile more and reward you with what you want after you die. Because if you just withhold judgment, God will view you as a little wuss. Come on.
Got it. You got to make a firm stance.
You got to make a firm stand that this is all hogwash.
And do you mean naturalist, don't wear any clothes, or do you mean naturalist, materialist?
Both, yeah. I prefer
both. That's what I would do.
I take that back. Only if you're good looking naked, you be a naturalist.
Yeah.
And I'm very good looking naked. I'm not going to demonstrate it here today.
Yeah, I think you have to go on your other channel for that, right?
You have to have faith that I look good naked. Anyhow, Elliot, I wish you all the best. Have you watched my channel for a long time?
A bit, yeah. I became aware of you with the Robert Price deal, or the Dr. Price.
Oh, and you still watch me after that.
Well, that's when I came. I didn't watch you before, so that's what did it. So
Interesting.
yeah, so that's a whole crazy thing.
What was your
Um,
take home on that after watching that?
I just couldn't believe it that he was saying that stuff. Um, yeah, just like with everybody.
Okay. But you stuck with me after that. What do you like about my channel? And what you don't like?
I don't know, authenticity, right? It seems to be real, and like you're not antagonizing, to people that call in. Well, I mean, as a general rule, right? But like sometimes people can be cringy, and then you kind of,
Yeah.
right?
Like Robert, yeah.
But yeah, I like it, and you seem familiar with the philosophy of everything without
Without reading.
or like. No, I mean you can talk casually about the philosophical concepts without trying to be highbrow about it, right?
Yeah.
If that makes
I
sense.
hate highbrow. I like lowbrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a man of the people.
Absolutely.
I support my blue
Absolutely.
collar brothers and sisters. People of the earth, the hard workers. Not these guys who sit in leather seats and smoke pipes and pretend they have everything figured out.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Maybe I'll head out here.
Okay.
Nice talking with you.
See ya.
Yep.
Jesus is God's only begotten Son, and through him all things were made by God. How do you know that, Archangel? Is it because you're an archangel? If you're a real archangel, I want to talk to you. But maybe you're just a phony. Why Christians should not bow to gay marriage. It's a short and viral in Christian circles. You think I'll like it? I need your love. Okay, what's it called? Copy. Paste. Videos. Oh, that one. I watched a few seconds of this and I got bored.
It to us. We're replacing his authority with our own. If marriage is no longer between one man and one woman, are we open to the idea of polygamy? We disregard the heterosexual aspect, so why not the monogamous aspect too? If love is love, as we keep hearing...
I think if it makes sense, polygamy can be okay. Right? Like imagine climate change causes the population to dwindle down to, I don't know, a few thousand, a few 100,000. I think polygamy would be, if your goal is to repopulate the earth, I would go for polygamy. Like back on the farm, for every one bull we had, we put the bull with 40 heifers. So I think one man, 40 women for coitus is it's reasonable. I know some of you might only need 10 or 20 or could handle 10 or 20, but I think I could do 40. Who do we got here? For every one. Good question.
Hey, PineCreek, thank you for taking my call.
Have we talked before? I think we have, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
About this woman, PhD, religions expert. Yep.
Okay. What do you want to talk about today? Are you a theist?
I am a complete atheist.
Okay. Have a good day.
Okay.
Good question. Theist Thursday. What don't you understand about that? I guess the other guy really wasn't. Did he say he was an atheist? No, he didn't. But Maybe I should have booted him too. But for some reason, this big face I liked. This guy didn't show his face. Okay, back to gays are going to hell. Where are they? Here we go. I'm going to just leave it in here.
Who's to say that 3 men loving each other is not more love than 2 men loving each other? And I'm sure someone in this chamber has echoed the words love is love tonight, and this is not about love being love. This is about marriage, the sacrament of holy matrimony. It is directly connected to love, but it's not the definition of love. Too many people utter those words and confuse the meaning of love. Agape,
love is a choice.
The biblical context of love is a divine love. It's a sacrificial love. It's not lustful. People often conflate sex with love. It's very disingenuous. We've heard quite a bit of that. But then, of course, atheists often parrot the words, God is love, and we've heard that one tonight too, again, without any understanding. Yes, God is love, but he sets the terms, not us. Another one we've heard plenty of is inclusivity. Should the church be more inclusive? Again, it's...
Not if you're biblical. The Christian church, at least, should not be inclusive. What's the purpose of the Christian church? It's to edify believers. That's why when I went to a seeker-sensitive church back in the 90s, a Willow Creek model, it wasn't church. It was an outreach movement, I think, for to get people to come to Christ, but itself wasn't church. So yeah, I agree with this guy. The Christianity is not supposed to be inclusive. It's supposed to be exclusive. That's what keeps it. That's the reason why it's one of the biggest religions in the world, because it is exclusive. You got to be part of, you got to be a member. You got to be, you got to be in the group to belong.
Play of words. It's virtue signaling. It's to appear good rather than to be good. The church should absolutely be inclusive.
No.
Christ spent time with tax collectors and prostitutes.
Well, okay, I guess he means in the world, but not of the world. I guess I thought he meant like the church itself, like the fellowship of believers. But he's talking about evangelism, I think.
But it is they who went away changed, not Christ. We are fallen, therefore we are all sinners. The church is open to sinners, of course it is, that's the purpose of the church. But it should not be to encourage people to continue to sin. Our duty as clerics is to help lead people to Christ.
Yeah, I had this debate or conversation with someone recently in the comment section. If this guy believes that if you live your life like a homosexual, meaning that you have coitus with someone of the same sex, and if 1 Corinthians 6 is correct, or is it 2 Corinthians 6, all those who live this way shall not inherit the kingdom of heaven. It'd be unloving not to warn them. It'd be unloving not to say, hey, if you keep this up, you're going to hell. It would be loving to say, hey, you gays and homosexuals, if you keep doing these sort of things, you're going to hell. I, as an atheist, can see that clear as a bell. Now remember, I don't believe any of this is true, but I understand that there's people who do believe this is true, and this is why they say the things they say. Nick, you can come back if you're a theist.
To lead them away from sin, not to embrace it, not to affirm it. I know many LGBT people who live lives in Christ. They abstain from sexual gratification to be closer to God, and it's not easy. It really isn't. It's perhaps not fair, but it is right and it is good. And these people are being let down. I've had people crying, saying, I could have got married, but I did what the church taught me was right, and now the church is saying they were wrong all along. I've wasted my life. As Christians, we're called to be in the world, but not of the world.
I just said that.
In the secular world, we already have equality in law. People can enter civil partnerships or even gay marriage outside of the church, and that's their prerogative. However, the faith is inherently discriminatory. God is discriminatory. He sets conditions on us entering his heavenly kingdom.
He's right. according to the scriptures. Yeah, from his point of view, I actually don't disagree with anything he said. I mean, I understand why he's saying what he's saying. But I also believe that the more people hear this type of rhetoric, that what he believes, it's sort of like the guy I had on who was speaking woo. The more he's heard, the more people say, "Ugh, stop already." And it's the same thing with guys like this. Stop already. Like, nobody believes this anymore, or very few in the world. Actually, what is the percentage in the world? 2 billion divided by, that's roughly 25%. But we all know that not all Christians who claim to be Christians are Christians. You can like cut that in half. And then this type of Christianity that believes in homosexuality and hell and all that, you probably cut that in half. Maybe 1 in 10 people in the world believe this stuff. Maybe. Okay, Nick. So that's the reason why I think it should. You want Christians like this to look people in the eyes and say, you're going to hell for living this way. It actually will have a net benefit. Unless you're, I guess, a Christian, you honestly believe this, that there is a hell and all that. You should get to, why do you believe hell even exists? Why do you believe this God even exists? Those are the real questions. Nick, I can't hear you. Hey, Archangel, you need to slow down a little bit if you want to continue commenting on my live stream. So here's what you do. And this is what I practice when I'm on other people's live streams. Usually, but it depends how big the live stream is. But if there's hundreds of people listening in a live stream and you have 3 comments in a row, that means something's wrong with you up here. You got to have some type of self-awareness that you're in a play box, you're in a sandbox with other kids who want to play with the toys too. And so when you make comments, boom, 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 you need to take a pause, let other people comment for like 3 or 4 times, and then you can say something.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you, Nick.
Oh, hi.
Let me get rid of Archangel. Let's put him in timeout. Because people are telling me he's just copying and pasting. He's not even thinking, which makes sense. Nick, are you a thinker or are you a copy and paster?
I'm not a troll. Don't worry. I'm a thinker.
You're a thinker. Good. We appreciate thinkers on the PineCreek channel. What do you want to think about with me today?
Well, you were asking for theist. I am one, but I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't know. Do you want to know something about me, maybe to get the conversation going?
Yeah. What type of theist do you think you are?
Well, I had a Christian view, but then I studied theology, which I'm still studying, and I came to the conclusion that the Bible is not really trustworthy as the Word of God, maybe just as human opinions and experiences.
Okay, how about the Quran? Do you think that one's
no,
better?
No. That's a joke. If
no,
no.
So the Bible's out, the Quran's out. How about the Hindu Vedas?
I think that's more philosophical. If I see at the schools, I would maybe compare.
I tend to agree. Okay, so how about the Book of Mormon?
No. I would say I lean towards a Platonic view.
Okay. So do you believe a God exists and created the universe?
Yeah, but I would say, but he may be impersonal and doesn't care about anything. He might have just created the universe, started Big Bang, and
so it sounds like you lean more deism than theism.
That might be the case. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Okay. And does it help you in any way to have these beliefs?
I think in what I'm struggling with if I would say that that there is no God, I always think about morals. Like I have this
Think of what?
like imaginary case
Moritz?
of morals.
Oh, morals. Okay.
Morals. Yeah, like on what do I ground my moral values? Because if man is the measure, then yeah, I mean, of course, I'll follow the law of my country and all. But let's say if we're in a war and nobody's there and we can commit war crimes, nobody's seeing it, what would stop me?
You.
Yeah, but if like I would only think it in terms about like, does this situation benefit me or does it not? Like there's no like moral value, like everything is allowed as long as there's nobody there to punish me.
Okay, but how does believing in a God help?
Yeah, in Platonic terms, God is the good to which we like strive for.
Yeah, but so what? So you're talking about like a war and nobody's around and you have a chance to rape, pillage, or kill, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
yeah.
you. Okay, but you do believe in this God and this moral foundation. So what? How does that help you?
Well, for me, I think it still gives me like a reason to not like commit such crimes.
What's the reason?
It may give, like, for me, it's like it tells me that look, this stuff is wrong because it doesn't participate in the good.
Okay, it's wrong. So basically, just by definition, that you think that's going to stop you from raping, pillaging, and murdering? A definition?
Well, that's the thing, because in the end, this might be just a construct of society, you know, that raping, pillaging, and stuff is bad. So who says like, yeah, why is it bad? Like if I don't have a like, it's hard to explain. Like for me, the good, you can call it God, is like something that gives me a reason to be moral.
Yeah, but the reason is it's just because by definition, you said. Like if you would answer it this way, I could understand it. Like if you said to me, Doug, the reason why I wouldn't rape, pillage, or murder if nobody was around, nobody would find out, is because this God is real, and when I die, he's going to punish me for that.
No, I don't think that he does it. I think that when we die, we kind of return to, I don't know, that like to the one or something like that.
To the one?
Yeah, like we return to our first cause.
Starting to get Stewart vibes here, frequencies. No, not again.
Yeah. No, like maybe like now in Hindu terms, like back to Brahma.
And what does that exactly mean, back to Brahma? Does that mean just like your body will decay and you'll be plant food?
Well, on a biological, but if there's something like the soul, then that may return to the one.
Okay, what is a soul and what is this one thing?
Okay, now it's hard to explain. Like the one is the first cause, something like that.
Okay, God.
From which everybody,
What most people
God,
would
from
call
which
God.
we emanate.
And what
You can call it God, yeah.
And what is a soul?
Well, that's a good question. Maybe that's the thing. Is it our part that makes us think rational? But maybe you can reduce it back to the brain. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah. Well, the way I would answer the question if I was alone, knew nobody would find out, and I had a choice to do a heinous action or not that would benefit me, I would still not do it, probably because I would have to live with myself for the rest of my life, knowing that I did something that I personally believe is wrong. Even if it benefited me, I would still have to live with that guilt. So this is like, it's one of these hypotheticals that if you're married and you had a chance to cheat on your spouse and have the best coitus of your life and no one would ever find out, not your wife, not your family, no one, would you do it? I think I'm strong enough, hopefully, to say, no, I wouldn't, because, and my reason for that is, it would cause me pain and suffering in the years till I die, knowing that I hurt my wife, even though she never found out, but that if she were to find out, she would not like it. And
Yeah.
and that, and I actually think that, Christians, Muslims, Jews, they would say that God has imparted these types of guilt mechanisms on our heart called a conscience. I would say that we have evolved this way to help societies flourish.
Yeah. Yeah, but like now we can reduce it back to evolution.
Mm-hmm.
But like objectively, is it wrong now? For you, maybe you feel it's wrong because we grew up in the society. So it's, for me, it's like, yeah, it's just a made up stuff.
It's not God wrong.
Agreed to not to do.
As an atheist naturalist, I would say it's not God wrong, but it would be, I think, wrong morally from my point of view because of my standards that I've chosen. So when you say, but is it objectively wrong? It depends what you mean by objectively.
Yeah, it's like, for me, yeah, that's the thing. Like, for me, like, is it in itself like wrong? Does it have the quality of being wrong?
Yeah.
Because for me, it looks like a construct.
Yeah, I would say that the question doesn't even make sense because my moral framework is mostly consequentialism.
Yeah.
So there's no wrong or right in itself. It depends on the context and the consequences. Like, you can almost imagine any possible action one human can do to another human and say it's wrong and then just change one little thing and now it becomes right.
Yeah. But with consequentialism, okay, now the example that you gave me with your wife, of course, the consequences are not, like, they're not going to in your favor. But if we take this example of the war, like, imagine we two together in a war, there's another guy there, and we just, conquered the city, and now he's telling us, yeah, I'm gonna rape every woman now, and I'm just gonna do it. And we know nobody's gonna know about that. Nobody, just us.
Yeah.
How I can't come up with any arguments to stop this guy.
Well, you could. Okay, yeah, that's a good question. But you could appeal to some things that this person values. So let's say a guy's about to rape a woman, and you can't stop him physically. You can only stop him with your words, or try to stop him with your words. What would you say? That's basically what you're asking, right?
Yeah, what would you say? And every time he says, I don't care, because it's like this stuff is made up. The good and bad are just social constructs.
Okay,
this is what I would do.
This is what I do. I'd say, I'd ask him, hey, let's say his name is I was going to say Mike Chang, but he's in the lecture chat. Let's say this guy's name is Mike. And I say, hey, Mike, do you have a sister? Do you have a daughter? You definitely have a mother. Do you have a wife? And say, would you want a person to do this to your mother, sister, daughter, whatever? Hopefully he says no. If he says yes, he's a psychopath and it's probably a lost cause. And then you could just basically appeal to empathy. It's, very simple stuff. And I actually think that works better than appealing to a god, unless you believe in a hell concept. But even then, you just ask for forgiveness and maybe you won't go to hell.
Yeah, of course, empathy. But in the end, he could also say, yeah, it's just evolution. Why would I care? Like, you can always reduce it. Like I know I also had this argument with others, and they say, like, they were like Christians to say, yeah, this inner feeling. But for me, of course, you can reduce it back to evolution. Like me, I'm a little bit scared when I go to the doctor, even though there's I know he's not going to do anything bad to me, and that's the same thing for me. This inner feeling.
Yeah. It's called instinct.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the instinct. Correct.
And I think a lot of this, that what we're talking about is philosophical talk, but in real life, the vast, vast, vast majority of people don't rape, don't murder.
Yeah.
Right? And the very few that do, they might be just sick.
Yeah, that may be the case. But for me, like, I don't know, for me, like, yes, okay, empathy, but I don't know if that's reason enough for me. Like, why should I help any other people if it doesn't benefit me? Like, I don't know. It's like, I still struggle with this thing. Maybe in half a year, I'm over it. I don't know. That's why I'm using like like Greek philosophy in general to, I don't know, somehow ground me.
Why not just be like me? Naturalist, atheist, and good-looking naked.
No, like, look, I know that the like how religion is over there in the States or in North America in general is completely different, like here in Europe.
But what's the downside?
Like
what's the downside for you to become a naturalist or an atheist?
None. But I don't know. Like I'm fine with saying, hey, there's a creator God, but that's it. Like,
you're fine with saying that there's a creator God?
Yeah, but I don't know why people have problems with that. Of course, they then connect it with their religion and maybe experiences that they have, and now they see it negatively. But
would you be fine in saying that there's a pink unicorn on Pluto?
Well, we can't prove it, but if somebody claims it, well,
no. Would you be fine in saying there's a pink unicorn on Pluto?
Yeah, well, I see no reason why I would say it, but why would anybody like have a problem with that?
Okay. So you wouldn't say that you believe, you would have no problem. You would have a problem with saying there's a pink unicorn on Pluto, right?
If somebody like insists on it, like if I
no,
would
I'm talking
insist
about
on
you
it,
yourself.
Yeah,
you would not say it. You would not.
I wouldn't say it. No.
In fact,
yeah.
My guess is the reason why you would not say it is because you kind of have a problem with saying things that are not true, or probably not true, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay.
I know you're trying to link it now to God.
Yeah, so why do you have no problem saying that there's a creator God?
I think I would really just human history that people always thought there is something like that, and it had a big impact on culture. And you know, I'm Italian, I'm Catholic. It's part of my nationality, my culture. I don't really buy anything that they say. They have done some good, they have done bad stuff, but I'm Catholic because I'm Italian, and that's it.
Yeah, you're raised in
and
that
sometimes
culture.
I go. Yeah, and sometimes I'll go to church because I also buy this theory that we humans are evolved, like to be kind of, you know, to do rituals and be you know, a little bit religious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with that, and that's it. I know for some fundamentals who would say, yeah, you're a nominal Christian or something like that. I'm like, yeah, but I don't see any reason to take the Bible seriously. Like, I studied the text, and it doesn't seem like there was any real revelation.
But for some reason, you still kind of take this creator God thing seriously, right?
Yeah, but there's nothing that we can say about him. It's not like we can look at him and say, he does this and that. Those are just
I understand.
claims that people do. Yeah,
I used to be similar to you. I was a deist for maybe, I don't know, 6 months, a year, when I first left Christianity. But then I realized I can't justify that.
Yeah.
I mean, is it more because I don't want people to view me as an atheist, because atheist is a dirty word? Or like, if someone was to really press me, Doug, why are you deist? I found myself at a loss.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? There could be a creator God out there, but there's no good reason to believe so. Just like the pink unicorn on Pluto. So why am I a deist? So I just left.
Yeah. Well, it's not like there is a community for these where you feel like a dogma of beliefs.
Actually, I was part of a deist community with mustaches.
Oh, I see.
And that were all good looking naked. We had our own calendar and everything. I was December.
No, it's like, I don't know. It's like maybe, yeah. I don't know. For me, it's still like stuff that I'm trying to figure out. And yeah, but even when I was, when I took it a little bit more seriously, I never was the guy who wanted to like convince people of my views or something like that.
But it doesn't bother you,
so,
does it? Like you're fine.
No,
You're not.
No, like it doesn't bother me. I mean,
like, do you have any existential angst that I can help you with today?
Oh, I don't know. Like I tend to fall into nihilism.
Ah.
And that's something that really bothers me. And you know that.
Okay, do you have a couch in your room right now? You want to go lie down, and I'll talk you through this. You got a beer in the fridge?
I'm already sitting on my bed.
Are the pills you took orange and barrel shaped?
No.
Like, do you? I personally, if someone wants to call me a nihilist in the way that there's no ultimate meaning in the universe, then I guess I am a nihilist. However, I still like my life. I don't have any desire nor the constitution to end my own life or the life of others. I still get meaning, not God meaning, because I don't believe in God, but I still get meaning in life. Does any of what I said resonate with you? Are you like that too?
Well, I wouldn't kill myself because I don't have the balls to do it. Seriously. Like this ultimate meaning, I don't know, this meaning in life and like giving it to myself is like, again, for me, it's again a construct. It isn't really there. And especially when someone is sick and suffering, like for no reason, that's kind of tough to swallow.
Yeah, I'm all for the right to end one's life, like themselves, but I think there has to be, guidelines for that, restrictions. Because we all have sad days. You can't.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I haven't found like something. Okay, I like still like studying religion, philosophy, and like history. But I'm also not a hedonist. Like, yeah, sometimes go out with my buddy and drink, and I almost did everything, but it doesn't give me any form of pleasure. Like seriously, I'm like thinking like something is wrong with me. I don't know how to deal with this.
No, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I can drink alcohol. It doesn't really give me pleasure. Smoking doesn't give me pleasure. I chew nicotine gum. That gives me some pleasure. Cheesecake gives me pleasure. Coitus gives me pleasure. But it's all fleeting. What really is long-lasting pleasure, I think, is having goals, meeting them, getting better at certain things over time. But immediate pleasure is, the older you get, the more you realize it is what it is. It's immediate, it's fleeting. This is why I espouse families and family values, because I think that's where human beings get the most pleasure and meaning in life, is being committed to a relationship, raising kids to be productive members of society, seeing yourself in them vicariously. These beat alcohol and sex. You need sex to have kids, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, no, like for me that is also a reason why I don't want to have any children. Like I'm like, I don't know, I'm seeing a lot of people from my generation. I'm like in my mid-20s. Like we're struggling. It doesn't matter from like what kind of background you are, and
but that's more for financial reasons, right? That you wouldn't have kids.
Not financial. I mean, even like mental health and stuff. You have all these,
Oh, I can help you with that. I mean, if you have money, and if you find a woman to marry who loves you and you love her, you're committed. That's what love means. I highly, as an atheist internationalist, I highly recommend you have kids. plan for it, prepare for it. It's going to be tough, but it's one of the most rewarding things you can do in life. And when it comes to the pressures of society, like technology is really, especially for teenage girls, it's really caused depression and so forth. You keep that away from them as much as possible. Until they get older. And so for their own mental health, because right now, like the top 1% of all the good looking women in the world, a lot of them are on TikTok. And then teenage girls who are average in looks see what they could never attain, and they get depressed. Like it's not good.
Yeah, they fall
them.
into disillusion.
Yeah.
I think that the internet is, I don't know, it's gonna cause a huge change in society. It already is, but maybe like in 50 years we will look back and be like, oh my God, we should have done something different. But I mean, that's the case with everything with every like revolutionary invention that happened in human history. Yeah, but I'm okay with a relationship and all. But
do you have a
stuff
girlfriend?
with kids, no.
How old are you?
I'll turn 27 in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's tough to even meet girls, right? Women, or is it?
Well, I could, but I'm like, I don't know, like not. It's not like I don't have any experience with women. I do, but it's like, why would I even bother right now? It's like I have, I don't know, like with this, let's call it existential crisis that I have. I'm still trying to figure this out.
Well, no, but this will help with your existential crisis. I'm not talking about just the frivolity and lust and that sort of thing. I'm talking about finding a deep, committed relationship that will bring you meaning.
Okay.
And that will help this existential crisis that you may or may not be going through. And like find someone that you can go for a walk and hold hands. That's way more intimate than sex.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree with you. Yes. Well, maybe. Yeah, it's like the how should I approach it? That's the thing.
How
dating apps.
You want pickup lines?
No. It's like I have something in mind, but I don't know. It's like I have to convince myself.
Yeah. Well, it's your choice.
Yeah. No, but really, like, I'm really glad that I studied theology and currently doing my master. I don't regret it because I really wanted to know the truth. And yeah, it's just to the conclusion I came.
Good for you. I mean, it's good that you're searching out for truth and that you're cautious in relationships. So yeah, I enjoyed talking to you, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, have a good day.
Ciao.
Ciao. You want to hear the pickup lines? Hey girl, were you speeding? 'Cause you're fine. Nick, whatever you do, stay you and don't be like Robert. That's great advice, but you don't have to scream it. Baked Alaska. Don't tell me you came on to tell me that you're now an atheist and a naturalist.
No, not yet, man.
Okay. What can I do for you today? What can I do for you today?
So, I found your last conversation interesting, and I wanted to pick up on something that you mentioned, which was, I'm sure women experience this, but maybe us being men, like it's a little bit more common, which is if you're, I think you posed a hypothetical, like if you were in a relationship and you had the opportunity to cheat, and your partner would not find out about it. I think what was your position on that? I
That
thought
would
you
cause
said,
yourself pain and suffering because
oh,
you would
right,
have to live
exactly.
with it.
Exactly. But the only thing with that is that I could envision somebody thinking like, well, look, I really have nothing to feel guilty about this, and my partner doesn't know. This is just like this. I mean, it's like if a tree fell in the forest, does it make a sound?
Well, no,
You
but
know,
let's say you have a contract. Not all marriages or relationships are closed, but let's say you're in a closed relationship and you kind of made an oath to each other that you would be faithful to each other, and then you're not. You have to live for the rest of your life, even whether nobody finds out. You have to live with yourself that you broke that vow.
That's true. I agree with that, but I guess then basically like it's simply your self-interest that you're just looking at, like you don't want to feel guilty.
Right.
That's all it is.
I mean, that's a big thing, right?
Well, not really, because it's like self-centered. It's like you're just worried about your own guilt. You're not worried about what you're doing to the other person.
But that's how all morality works.
Not if it's objective, though.
How so?
Well, because if it's objective, it doesn't matter if the other person knows about it or doesn't.
No, but I'm talking about actually influencing behavior.
Yeah, but so like what I'm saying is like, so like whenever there's externalities imposed, then like, you know, as a society, we impose like through our laws, like punishment,
right?
Because like, you know, you can't hurt anyone. Like you're free to do whatever
right.
you want.
Punishment,
right? But what if it's a scenario where the other person isn't hurt because they don't know about what's
But I just
happening?
said that's still about punishment. You're punishing yourself with guilt.
Yeah, but then you're just back to punishing yourself,
right? But
right?
Yeah,
So
but it's still pain.
Nothing more, huh?
It's still pain.
It is still pain, but.
And he left. I was about to walk him in my trap, and then he left. He'll come back. I'm sure he'll come back. And then I'll lead him through my path, my trap, which he'll be fine with because he likes me. Maybe he won't be back. Where I was going with this is, if he says it's just selfish because you're just worried about yourself and your own guilt, why ought one follow God's morality? Why? Why should one do what God says? Well, because God said it. So? Well, but because it's the right thing to do. So? Because he'll burn you if you don't. He'll punish you if you don't. There you go. That's a good reason. But we're back to the same thing as guilt and pain. Right? Christians who say that they need this God for an objective basis grounding for morality, ultimately, I'll use the word ultimately, it boils down to pain and pleasure. You want to go to heaven, you don't want to go to hell. And if you don't believe in hell, you still want to go to heaven, and God might not let you in heaven if you live your life a certain way. Or even if he does, you won't get the biggest mansion or whatever. It all boils down to carrots and sticks. But a guy like me, I just cut out the middleman. I cut out God because I don't need him for morality. I can get my grounding for morality without him. I can get my oughts without him. Now, Christians are going, and Jews and Muslims, they're going to push back so hard against this. Where'd you go?
Hey man, my laptop died.
Oh, okay.
So I
Did you hear what I
put it
just
on my
said?
desktop. I did hear what
Okay.
you just said.
So what's your
And
response to that?
Here, let me just mute this because I have the YouTube on. So my response is that there is a difference, I think, because there's someone to hold you accountable beyond yourself, right? I mean, like we're all.
But what does
I think
what does hold yourself accountable mean, or hold accountable mean? What does that actually mean?
It means you're going to face judgment for what you do, even if you pass. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what the Christian would say is, you should do what God says because you'll be held accountable. What does that mean? You'll be judged. What does that mean? There'll be consequences. I'm a consequentialist, mostly. I kind of like 5% virtue ethics guy, but I'm mostly consequentialist. Now, I just don't believe heaven and hell exist. That's fine. But I'm saying I don't need heaven and hell. There's consequences here on earth. And even if no one is looking and watching, I am looking and watching. And so the consequences, the internal pain and guilt that I might experience if I cheat. So then I don't cheat. It's not worth it. It's not worth, well, for me, it's not worth like 30 minutes of pleasure. But for most men, it's 30 seconds. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I absolutely. But like that's, you know what that reminds me of, almost like when someone has like the dessert in front of them and it's like, is it worth that like 2 minutes of pleasure that you're going to eat that piece of cake? And no, it's not, because it's like, of course, if you could always judge things by the long-term impact they're going to have, then we wouldn't have an obesity problem. We wouldn't have a,
great
a
point.
smoking problem.
It's a great point. It's hard. It's tough to have self-discipline.
And that's all I'm saying. Like, I just think it provides an extra layer of protection, that you're not like that. Sure, you're going to judge yourself, but there's always the chance that you're going to give yourself a pass, because you could start like rationalizing with yourself why you did something, and you could start excusing your own conduct. You know, it's just, I just think like it's harder to do that when you know there's like an external source that's like, now it's not just selling yourself on why you messed up. It's like now you have to sell an external party.
Yeah, I kind of see that, but I do think that earthly accountability is more effective than godly.
Mm-hmm.
Like think about you're about to murder someone, let's say in a heat of passion or whatever, and then as you look to the right, you see a police officer, several police officers. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you're about to murder someone, and you close your eyes and you think of God and heaven and hell and so forth. Which is more effective at stopping you from murdering, those police officers or the concept of God and heaven and hell?
I think for most in the short term, it's probably the police officers.
Yes.
Because it's apparent. I just think these things like tend somewhat to complement each other.
God uses the police officers.
No, but like, someone's trying to plot, maybe somebody's like looking to get revenge, and they're bitter, and they're plotting to do something, to commit a crime, and they could be thinking to themselves like, I'm smart enough to get away with it. But then they might be thinking like, but ultimately, like, I'm going to have to face judgment, like, for this, because like, the idea like God is watching, like you're not going to be able to get it by him.
Yeah.
So,
but if they're thinking that way anyhow, like a God is watching and he will cast judgment, guess what? If you're a Muslim, you repent. If you're a Christian, you repent. If you're a Jew, you repent. If you're a Buddhist or a Hindu, or if you're a Hindu, you change. You basically still repent. I mean, you just like, and then you won't get that. You might still be judged, but the consequences are kind of alleviated because you've changed your ways. But on planet Earth with humans, you can repent all you want. If you've found guilty of murdering someone, you will do the time, whether you're repentant or not.
Yeah, because I mean, society almost looks as like your time is your repentance, and it's like, like after you serve your time, then it's like you've kind of like paid your dues essentially, and you could be,
Yeah.
remitted back into society. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're really disagreeing on much.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
I think it for both of us, it boils down to consequences. And I just think there's no need for God as grounding or for enforcing. Humans can do that. They can enforce and adjudicate themselves. And grounding, I think you can use a story of evolution that it produces better societies using concepts of well-being, unnecessary suffering. God is just the middleman at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, when I look back in my life and the mistakes that I've made, it becomes like it's almost impossible to tell why we did certain things. Like I was in a relationship with this girl for 10 years and we probably would have stayed together for forever had I not made some mistakes along the way.
Did you cheat on her?
I did.
Yeah.
Yep. But my mind wasn't really straight at the time to, not like that's an excuse, but so in other words, what I'm saying is I see how we could just how strong the ability to kind of self-deceive yourself is. I wonder if back then if I was just in a different place, again, it's all speculation, if my mind was in a better place and maybe God was in my life, not that I needed God necessarily per se, but maybe it just would have been one extra thing to just, inform our conduct. Maybe it would have helped, but.
Wait, weren't you a Christian then?
Actually, I wasn't a practicing Christian.
But you still believe in God, right?
I did in a really abstract sense, but I was, yeah. I mean, I guess maybe if you had asked me at the time if I did, I probably would have just kind of just given a reflective answer without really being sure of myself. Not that I'm.
Well, it sounds more to me like you still believe in God, you still believed in heaven and hell, but you just didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's my point. I mean, it doesn't really help.
Yeah.
What really helps is to reflect on your own self, and society really puts pressure on people. Like if there was a crime of going to jail for 10 years if you cheat on your girlfriend, do you think you still would have done it? Probably not.
Yeah, right. I know.
Unless she looked like me. If she was the female version of me, then you can't help yourself. I understand that.
It's irresistible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you have a good moral code, you don't need God to live a good moral life. So I absolutely agree with that. I wonder on the margins if it's just we would have somewhat of a more moral society. For certain people, it would who maybe weren't raised in the right families or in the right context. I could see them saying I found God. Take people in prison, for example. A lot of them completely reform and they're I found God, and they're totally different people. As a result of their religious experience. How do you account for that?
Same way I account for Malcolm X. He was a terrible guy. He found Islam, became a great guy. People they use ideas, I think, to help alleviate their guilt. They use these ideas of religion to be part of a community, not get raped in jail. They use these ideas to get maybe paroled sooner rather than later because a lot of the people on the parole panel are Christian. I mean, imagine a born-again Christian on a parole panel and you say, I found Jesus. I mean, and you are sincere, look sincere. That has an impact.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure it does. I could still see for some percentage of them. The Malcolm X example, I really haven't thought of. I mean, I'm not actually that familiar with his biography, but
people's lives have been radically changed for the good in Islam, in Mormonism, in Hinduism, in Christianity. But that doesn't mean just because it worked doesn't mean that the core principles, the core foundations of it are true.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. All right, man.
Okay, take care. We'll see.
I'll let you
We'll
bounce.
see you next week when you're an atheist.
I'll see you next week. All right, later. Man.
See ya. Actually, if he becomes an atheist, he can't call in a Theist Thursdays. This is why Baked Alaska is still a theist, because he still wants to talk to me every Thursday. Do I play... Yeah, I'm going to play Rush Limbaugh as my outro.